discover meaning and purpose, in order to discover that our direction in life and our purpose in life, we must make the commitment and put forth the effort that we need to into our spiritual life as well. Perfect example of that are the disciples. Jesus called several people to be disciples with him. They just didn't get the message one day. You know what kind of investment they had to make? They had to leave their careers sometime. They had to leave their families sometime. They had to change their whole routine in life and put everything, their mind, their body, and their soul into what Jesus had called them to do. And because of that, because they made that investment, because they made that personal sacrifice, our lives have never been the same. They've changed the world. And that can happen to all of us if we decide that we want our faith to be central in our life. I think in order for us to have a meaningful faith, we have to do our Bible study. We have to do our worship. And when we go to worship, one of the things I always learned when coming up, that going to worship is just not going to it. If I was going to get something out of it, I had to put something into it. So I started not just singing, I started really looking at the words of what was in the hymn. All of a sudden, it meant something. And I always thought sermons were boring. Then I decided, no matter who is speaking, I can get something out of it if I decide to listen and respond. One way or another, by putting something into it. Oh, I go into discussion groups, youth ministry, community service, on and on and on. And the more you get into it, the more you do it, the greater the result and the more powerful transformation it makes in your life. And it's a choice. That's right. Whether we get something out of our faith or not, it is a choice, because we've got to put it in, choose to put the effort forward, and then we'll be blessed greater than any blessing you can imagine. I know a young lady. She came to Methodist college then, many years ago. She worked with me when I was in another role there. And she had never been to church in her life, which is unusual to have some folk, not as much unusual now as it was then, but she had never been inside of a church in her 18 years of life. So I started working with her, and we sat down and had many conversations. She began to have various roles on campus. And she said, Mike, one day she said, I want to go to chapel one day. I said, wonderful. You're going to make that choice? She said, yes. She said, I need to make that choice, because I have this hunger in me. I have this search going on. I want to know more about God and what God can say to me in my life. So she started going to chapel. Then she went to a women's Bible study. Then she started working hard at doing the right things in terms of community service. Then she got so excited, she says, you wouldn't believe how exciting all of this is. She said, do I have all the answers? No, but I've started on the journey, and I'm going to find it. Because I know the more I put into it, every time I go, something more comes back to me. Now, I want to tell you the outcome of that. Got ready to go to graduation after 4 years. She's graduating with honor. The morning, we have graduation at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That morning, her family came, and she'd asked me, Mike, she said, would you baptize me in the chapel? So what a glorious day that was. Not only did she graduate, but she became a member of God's family as we gathered in the chapel with her and her family and offered a baptism. Now, her success just didn't end there. She is now vice president of Procter & Gamble, lives in Chicago, doing right well for herself considerably. Not only that, she has, now get this from this company, she has a required spiritual retreat for all members of her staff at Procter & Gamble once a year. It's a requirement. You go, whether you want to or not. And that happens because the result of her and the faith that she had, and when you plant the seed and you start the work and you make the investment, changes happen, and they happen tremendously. Faith is a powerful thing, but it takes our mind and our body and our souls and our sacrifice to make it happen. The challenge for you today. If sometimes you feel like you have walked away from God, or you don't feel God's presence, or perhaps something is not going well in your life that it needs to be, you would like for it to go better. Instead of saying, woe is me, my challenge is that you get a hold and work hard at putting forth every investment you can make in finding the right path or finding the right direction. And God will bless you more than you could ever imagine. If anyone wants to become my follower, let them deny themselves, sacrifice themselves, make the investment, take up the cross, and follow me. That's God's work for us today. And it's a matter of our choice. We're going to be singing, "A Mighty Fortress is Our God." And indeed, God is a mighty fortress. And as we sing that hymn, let us remember that the altar is open for you. If today you feel like you've not quite made the investment you need to make, with God's grace, you can make the extra step to make that investment or that sacrifice. If you've fallen away from God and you feel God is so far away and distant and you're ready for Him to come back, then that means you must be ready to make the investment to allow that to occur. So remember, God's altar is open to you as we stand together and we sing, "A Mighty Fortress."